Chapter 1. This story begins with our protagonist named Jiang Hao Yi. He is 19 years old and a normal first-year university student. He lives a peaceful and free life without anyone noticing him and hopes to live like this forever. But his life is about to change. On a quiet day like any other, the school beauty enters Hao Yi's classroom and walks up to him. Her name is Xia. She takes his hand and tells him that she is pregnant with his baby. Hao Yi is horrified by the news since he doesn't even know her, and all of his classmates get mad at him and start taking pictures of the two of them. The boys are outraged that Hao Yi has impregnated a beauty like Xia, so they get violent and threaten him. So our protagonist takes Xia's hand and they escape, and to mislead the mob looking for him, he separates from her and tells her to wait for him on the roof. Hao Yi manages to defeat the violent gang, but some girls force him into the bathroom. Captain Tang accuses him of being a womanizer and attacks him, but Hao Yi does not understand what she is talking about. She says that they lived together before and now he pretends not to know her. He manages to get out of the bathroom, but is immediately hugged by Lin, a white-haired girl. She says that she and their two children miss him at home as she accuses him of cheating on her with other girls and proceeds to hit him too. Tang steps in to get Ling to stop hitting him, but only because she's the only one who can punish him. They start arguing, so Hao Yi takes the opportunity to escape. He runs to the roof and there is Xia waiting for him, but behind him comes the horde of angry students and the two girls who accuse him of cheating on them. He feels cornered and says he doesn't know the three girls and is going to jump and proves innocence. Hao Yi jumps, but strangely time stops and a pink-haired girl asks him if he ate Cupid's chocolates, and for his bad luck, our protagonist did eat a Cupid's chocolate cake that he found on the roof the day before and didn't eat it alone but with several girls. The pink-haired girl explains to Hao Yi that whoever eats Cupid's chocolates will create love memories, but if you eat it together with a girl, she will remember you as her love, and that's why several girls love Hao Yi and have false memories. The pink-haired girl is a love goddess trainee, Maitada. She tells Hao Yi that he must enjoy being chased by girls, but he is desperate and angry, so she explains that if he fulfills the most desired wish of those girls, the magic will be lifted and he will be free. Saying that, she leaves and time returns to normal. Hao Yi hides from the horde of students and from Lin and Tang, but he realizes that Xia is still on the roof waiting for him, so he goes up to see her. On the roof, Xia is crying, but she is happy when she sees him. He tells her that tomorrow they have to go somewhere. She thinks it is a date, but actually he will take her to the hospital. The next day, they go to the hospital for Xia to take a pregnancy test, and the result is negative. Xia is not pregnant. Hao Yi is happy, but she tells him that next time she will do everything possible to get pregnant. He tells her that it is best to send her home and explain this situation to her family. She takes him to her house, and it turns out that it is a big mansion. He didn't know that she was so rich. Upon arriving at the mansion, she tells him one of her false memories. He asked her to marry him despite being poor, but her father rejected him. At the mansion, one of the butlers tells Hao Yi that Xia lives alone because her father works a lot. Suddenly, a bodyguard brings the news that Xia is pregnant by Hao Yi. So all the bodyguards start beating him as they protect their young lady. He is beaten by all the butlers of the mansion, but even so, he escapes thanks to Xia, and she takes him to her room. There he sees a calendar from last year where it is marked a day when Xia had dinner with her father. That day was the happiest of her life. Hao Yi has an idea. When he leaves the room, one of the butlers is talking to Xia's father on her cell phone, so he takes it from her and tells the man that he is the one who got Xia pregnant, and if he is brave, he should come to face him face to face. All the butlers are amazed at Hao Yi's bravery and say that his last meal must be prepared for him. Suddenly, many helicopters appear and many security cars protecting a limousine. Xia's father has arrived. The man brings an army with him and orders them to hit Hao Yi, but Xia defends him and shows her father the negative pregnancy results. Xia's father is confused and Hao Yi tells him that if he didn't lie, he wouldn't have come to see his daughter. Then Hao Yi shows him the Xia's marked calendar and stands up for her by saying that Xia's happiest days are when she spends time with her dad. His speech makes all the bodyguards cry and Hao Yi takes advantage and runs away, but he is quickly reached by Xia. She thanks him, and when she is about to kiss him, she magically disappears. Then Maitada appears and tells him that the magic has lifted because he fulfilled Xia's dream, which is to eat with her father. The next day, he goes to the university and sees that there are many posters with his face saying that they are looking for Lin's husband, father of two children, in other words, him. He goes to his classroom worried because this isn't over yet. Meanwhile, we see that a mysterious girl has arrived at the university. In his classroom, Xia approaches him and tells him that she wants to walk with him the next day. Hao Yi doesn't understand why she remembers him, so he calls out for Maitada. Maitada stops time and explains that the false memories were erased, but not her memories of these 2 days, so what Xia feels towards him now is true. Hao Yi agrees to go out with Xia, but suddenly, knives come flying and stick around our protagonist. A mysterious girl has appeared. She is Shurili, and when she sees that Hao Yi is with Xia, she kisses him passionately, telling her that Giants is her property. But Shurili's mother also appears with bodyguards and takes her away, apologizing to our protagonist. At that moment, Maitada appears and he tells her that Xueli always treats him like this. She is a childhood friend who is in love with him. Behind him appears Xia. After witnessing that kiss scene, she's afraid of being rejected, but Hao Yi tells her to choose a place and time and he will be there, since it seems that our protagonist likes Xia. After that, Hao Yi meets Tang and she slaps him and says that now they are separated. Chapter 4. Hao Yi gets angry at the slap and tells Tang that with that attitude, no one would want to be with her. Maitada appears again and he asks her if he breaks up with those girls, the problem would be solved, and she laughs saying that when a woman says let's break up, it's just a warning. Later, Hao Yi sees that Tang is mistreating the boys in PE by drenching them with a hose. He stops her and inadvertently drenches her. She gets angry and tells him that now she understands why he had an affair. It's because he's good to everyone, and she leaves. At Tang's house, she's taking a shower and makes a decision. Tomorrow will be a new start. It's the weekend and Hao Yi wakes up with Xueli in his bed. She locks him in his room because today is his date with Xia, but Hao Yi manages to escape through the window and using his neighbor's door. Luckily, he's just a little late for his date with Xia. They sit in a coffee shop and Xia is nervous because it is her first date with a guy and she doesn't know what to say, but Hao Yi misunderstands her and puts his hand on her forehead because he thinks she has a fever. When he does that, they blush. Suddenly, Jian sees that they are near the N9 festival and invites Xia to come with him. Meanwhile, at Hao Yi's house, Xueli finds out that he ran away and now she goes looking for him. At the N9 festival, the two of them walk by and see a cute girl cosplaying. To Hao Yi's surprise, she is Tang. Tang takes them away because the fans were cornering them photographing her, and to run away from Tang's two friends who were also there. Meanwhile, outside the N9 festival, Xueli has arrived ready to catch Hao Yi. Back to Tang and Hao Yi, he is surprised by Tang's tastes, but she says that he must keep the secret and tells him that in the past, her two friends were for their rude appearance and she defended them by becoming their role model. So she doesn't want them to find out that she dresses as a kitten for the pleasure of men. He tells her that she should show her friends her true self. At that moment, the loudspeakers say that the contest is about to start. Tang tells them that she can never participate because it takes 3 people and she always comes alone. So between Xia and Tang, they dress him as a woman. Xueli is spying on them and is very happy with Hao Yi and his costume. But when Tang goes to change her clothes, she realizes that her costume is totally destroyed. Some girls wanted to sabotage her so she doesn't win. Her dress was handmade, so Tang runs away crying, but Hao Yi wants to fulfill her dream, so he and Xia go after her. After that, Hao Yi is in the bathroom and Maitada appears to him and he gets an idea. The contest begins and it is Hao Yi's turn, but as soon as he enters the stage, he stumbles and immediately makes cute poses and charms the audience. He has to buy time until Xia finds Tang. A little later, it's Tang's team's turn to perform on stage, but Xia still has a return with Tang, so Hao Yi comes out on stage trying to calm down the audience who wants to see Tang. So he tells them that today he found out that a friend does cosplay, and she looks lovely and real and she shouldn't be ashamed of it. Tang hears those words and wants to go on stage, so Maitada does magic and changes both of their costumes and makes her fly to the stage. The audience goes crazy thinking they are special effects. Then the presenter announces them as winners. Tang doesn't understand anything and demands to know what happened. Meanwhile, Xueli is behind the scenes and wants to kill Tang for going overboard with her Hao Yi. But at that moment, she hears that the girls who sabotaged Tang want to seduce Hao Yi for him to join his team, so Xueli goes for them. After that, Tang and Hao Yi discuss in the dressing rooms who will change their clothes first, when suddenly they are both the magic is over. She throws him out of the dressing room and throws his clothes at him, yelling that he is a pervert. Outside, Maitada appears and apologizes for not telling him that their costumes wouldn't last long, and seeing him totally naked is embarrassed. But he thanks her anyway because thanks to her, Tang won. Then, Hao Yi walks Xia out and goes back to find Tang. When he sees her, he invites her to spend the night with him, but she slaps him and runs off. Finally, the magic has been lifted because Tang got her wish. That night, Hao Yi goes to the apartment of a blonde woman. This woman is his teacher, Miss G, and reproaches him that he hasn't come to see her for a long time and mocks him saying that he doesn't come because of his girlfriend. Hao Yi tells her that Xueli is not his girlfriend and remembers how when she was a child, she would always get sad, and then she would hit him because her grades were lower than his. Even in high school, he kept getting better grades than her, and of course she kept hitting him, so he started lowering his grades on purpose. But one day, she makes him a bet. If she got higher grades than him in the next exam, he would have to go study in America with her. So obviously on the exam, he got better grades than her and she went to America. And he tells her that she will be better off with him. Back in the present, he tells his teacher that he will be serious this time. Meanwhile, Xia is happy to receive a goodnight message from Hao Yi, but he is dealing with his teacher who got drunk, and the next day he leaves her apartment and the neighbors think they are having an affair. The next day, Tang is happier than ever and suddenly Hao Yi appears who challenges her and the entire women's team to a bet. The loser must comply with what the winner wants. Hao Yi spends the whole week studying hard, But on the last day at night, he sees that Xueli is outside his house and it's raining. He goes down to see her and she is crying, so he hugs her to comfort her and she tells him that he has come back to curse her again. A while later, her mother came to take her away. She said that she would not go to class for a while and she thanks Hao Yi for being with her. The next day, Hao Yi goes to class very tired and ignores the taunts of the women's gymnastics team. The exams are carried out and Hao Yi finishes them first after school. Tang wants to talk to him, but she doesn't because he is with Xia. Hao Yi asks Xia to come and choose an outfit with him. The next day, Hao Yi goes to the gym where Tang and her team are. He got the highest grade and a full score. He gives a maid outfit to Tang and she must wear it for 2 weeks to recruit students for her gymnastics club. The women's team goes to complain to the teachers, but to their surprise, Jen legitimately won the bet. Tang dresses up as a maid for 2 weeks and is loved by all the students. Meanwhile, Lin spies on Hao Yi and sadly thinks that he has forgotten about his children. Hao Yi is on the roof with Xia, and suddenly Tang appears to claim that the maid outfit he gave her was too small. He tries to tell her that Xia was the one who chose the outfit, but Xia runs off, leaving him alone with Tang. She thanks him for what he did for her as she is now happy. Later, Magtada asked Hao Yi who Xueli was referring to when she spoke of that rainy night. Hao Yi tells her that this is her ex-boyfriend and that because of him, Xueli is the way she is. Suddenly, 2 children appear and hug Hao Yi and call them dad. Behind those children, Lin also appears. Supposedly, the 2 of them are the parents of those children. He tells them that he will meet them later, but they must call him uncle, and he will give them candies. Hao Yi is left alone with Magtada, and she says that she forgot to tell him that if he doesn't quickly fulfill Lin's wish, the magic will become real. In other words, the children will be real, and he will be a father. Meanwhile, Lin and her 2 children are outside. She receives a call and tells them to wait for her and not move. But when she barely leaves, the children go looking for their father. After that, Lin meets Jian and tells him that the children are missing, so the 2 split up and go looking for them all over the campus. Meanwhile, Xia finds a little girl crying and she tells her that she is looking for her uncle Hao Yi, so Xia calms her down and says that they will find him. On the other hand, the little boy goes around the university doing mischief. Hao Yi almost finds the little boy, but he goes into the girls' changing room, and when Hao Yi walks in, he just realized where he was. But it's too late. Tang sees him and accuses him of peeping. The women's team accuses him of being a and the little boy, seeing that his father is in trouble, pulls down Tang's maid's dress, which makes them even more angry. So Hao Yi says not to punish the boy, he's only to blame. Luckily, Xia and the little girl show up and take the little boy away. So Tang and the women's team punish our protagonist. Later, Lin is still waiting outside and suddenly Hao Yi and the 2 children appear. He tries to make her understand that they are not parents because these children are 8 years old while they are 20, but the logic does not enter Lin's brain, so she continues to believe that they are their parents. At that moment, Magtada tells him that if he does not fulfill Lin's wish quickly, everyone who interacts with her will also have their memories changed. Hao Yi wants to see for himself and accompanies Lin to her house, and to the bad luck of the protagonist, this is true. When they arrive at Lin's house, her mother is waiting for him with a knife and insulting him. Lin's mom wants to butcher him, but Lin stops her because the kids have to do their homework. Upon entering the house, Hao Yi realizes that it is a family of limited resources, different from Xia. Meanwhile, Xia practices how to ask Hao Yi out, but she doesn't dare, so she just sends him a text instead. At Lin's house, her mother goes to dance at the plaza to leave him alone, and Hao Yi helps the children with their homework. They are very happy with him. Then Lin tells them it's time to sleep. He goes to the living room, and then Lin goes with him wearing a short nightgown. She insists on sleeping with him and provokes him, but a call from Xia saves our protagonist. She invites him to go to the amusement park on Sunday, and Hao Yi accepts, but Lin heard this and wants him to take the kids to the amusement park too. So he thinks better of it and decides to go with her and the kids. Later, he calls Xia to cancel their plans, but he hears her crying and regrets it. He only tells her not to be late on Sunday. On Sunday, Hao Yi takes Lin and the kids to the amusement park. His plan is to play with the kids in all the rides and then run to meet Xia. And so he did. Now is the time to meet Xia. Hao Yi and Xia are sitting together and she wants to tell him something important, but they are interrupted by a photographer from the amusement park who wants to take a couple photo of them. They pose for the photo and suddenly Xia kisses him. Hao Yi goes to the bathroom and doesn't understand how a girl as beautiful as Xia can like him. At that moment, Magtada appears and he asks her if the Cupid's chocolates still affect Xia. But she says that the chocolates have nothing to do with this, and soon he will realize everything, and she blushes. After that, Hao Yi is on his way to meet Lin and the kids again, but he meets a friend. He is Zhang Dong. Zhang Dong tells him that he should take care of Xueli because her ex-boyfriend is back. At that time, he also meets Tang and her friends, so he asks Tang to go to Xia and tell her that he had to do something. Tang talks to Xia and tries to cheer her up. When Hao Yi finds Lin and the kids, the little girl was crying because she lost in a free ice cream contest, so he goes and wins ice cream for the 4 of them. As they eat ice cream, Lin says that Hao Yi looks just like her father. Hao Yi finally has a little clue to Lin's wish. On the street, he says goodbye to Lin and the children, but is seen by Tang and Xia. Tang immediately takes him to a bathroom and ties him up. Tang interrogates him, thinking that he is with Lin and Xia at the same time. Then he tells them a half-truth. It turns out that Lin is the daughter of a single mother since her father abandoned them when she was a child, and he does not pay them support fees. Then Tang and Xia come to the conclusion that the children with Lin are her siblings, and they feel bad about her situation. So they both forgive him since Lin needs help, and they let him go. Tang asks Xia if she's okay with Hao Yi spending time with Lin, and she says yes, because he's very considerate. Then Tang says it's a shame that their date was ruined, and Xia blushes and stutters, denying it was a date. Hao Yi goes to Lin and the kids and asks the amusement park photographer to take a picture of the four of them. He walks them home and wants to apologize to Lin for talking about her father, but she just tells him not to talk about him in front of her mother and leaves. He is left alone and wondering how to find out more about Lin's father since he can't ask her mother. The next day, Hao Yi goes to Lin's elementary school, but it's very hard to get in without identification, so he runs everywhere and even gets beaten up by teachers. But in the end, he finds Lin's former teacher. The teacher tells her that 10 years ago, Lin's father would always pick her up from school until one day he stopped coming because they got divorced, but Lin kept waiting for him for years in the same place, and over time she became more and more. After that, Hao Yi goes to the police station. It's time to use his secret weapon. Hao Yi has a police friend and asks him to find information on Lin's father, and after looking him up in the database, but it seems that he left the country. His friend tells him that he will keep looking. Mai Tada wonders how he has a police friend, but Hao Yi doesn't answer her. When he arrives home, he is immediately locked in his room by Xuli. She throws him on the bed and tells him that it is time to consummate their marriage. He manages to escape from her and locks himself in the bathroom and waits for her to fall asleep to come out. Suddenly, his police friend calls him on his cell phone and says that he found 20 possible numbers of the guy he is looking for. Hao Yi is very grateful, but at that moment, Xuli wakes up. She hugs him and takes off his pants, and who knows what happened. The next day, Hao Yi is very tired in the classroom because he only slept for 2 hours, and Xuli says that tonight they should continue in bed. This causes his classmates to be jealous, and they start hitting him. Lin heard all of that. After that, Hao Yi calls all the phone numbers that his police friend gave him, and the last number is Mr. Lin's. Hao Yi complains to the man for not visiting his daughter in a decade, but the man tells him that he is not Lin's real father. So our protagonist goes to Lin's house, and she is arguing with her mother, who tells her to throw away the photograph of that man because her father is dead. Lin leaves crying, and the children too. Hao Yi wants to talk to her fake mother-in-law, but she doesn't want to. Luckily for him, an elderly neighbor approaches him and tells him the truth. Hao Yi tells Goddess Mai Tada that Lin's father was a policeman, and he was about to marry her mother when he was called by an emergency, but unfortunately, he died and Lin's mother was already pregnant. Luckily for her, Mr. Lin was in love with her and offered to take care of her and the baby, but his parents did not accept the marriage, and over the years he also changed his convictions and divorced. He confirms this whole story with his friend, who is a policeman. Hao Yi is so angry with the situation that he doesn't know who to blame, and he fights with Mai Tada. He comes home very angry and ignores his parents when they ask him what's wrong, and locks himself in his room, and in a fit of rage, he throws all his books and things on the floor and even a photo of him with Lin and the children. But he soon regrets it and renews his conviction to fix the Lin family's problems and apologizes to Mai Tada, who was hiding listening. The next day, he calls Lin's stepfather and explains the situation, but the man hangs up on him. Meanwhile, she goes to the maid's cafe where Tang works and asks for advice on what to tell her father, since he wants to talk to her about something very important. But Tang doesn't help her. Every day, Hao Yi calls Ling's stepfather, but that man doesn't even answer him anymore. One day, Hao Yi asks Mai Tada why there aren't more girls chasing him, and she says that magic can only attract them at certain rates, and with one case at a time. Then he goes for a walk with Lin and the kids, but a truck Lin. Lin is rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, Shida is with her father, who tells her that it is better that she not go to her grandfather's birthday party and promises to make her happier. At that moment, she receives a call telling her what happened. Hao Yi desperately calls Lin's stepfather and tells him what happened and that he must go to the hospital quickly, or it may be too late. He goes full speed to the hospital. At the hospital, Tang and Xia are worried, waiting for the doctor to come out of surgery. Mr. Lin arrives desperate at the hospital, and a doctor is mourning the death of a girl, and he thinks the worst and starts crying, but Lin appears behind him. She starts to cry and ran to hug him, saying that she waited for him a long time. In another room, Hao Yi wakes up and remembers what happened. He pushed Lin so that she would not be hit by the truck. He received a strong blow, and the worst did not happen because Mai Tada magically stopped all the impact of the truck. He falls asleep again, and in an astral plane, his children say goodbye to him. Hao Yi is saddened by the farewell and cries waking up. A month later, Hao Yi finally leaves the hospital, but his 4 girls, Shuli, Xia, Tang, and Lin are waiting for him outside. They start to argue about who will take Hoi, but Xueli is more cunning and kills him. Meanwhile, on the roof of the school, Mai Tada wants to be promoted to Goddess of Love and still hasn't gotten it, but she's still happy to have learned a lot these days. Suddenly, she hears a girl call out the name Jiang Hao Yi, and so ends the first season. The second season begins with Mai Tada reminiscing that due to her failure in magic, Hoi was caught in memories of love with many girls on campus, and to make up for her mistake, she stayed with him to help him realize those girls' most secret dreams and to remove the magic. While Mai Tada was flying around, she sees a couple arguing, so she tries to help them with her magic, but it ends up separating them further, demonstrating her tragic skills in love. Meanwhile, Xia, Tang, Suili, and Lin decide to go visit Hoi at his house, and the four of them meet at the door. They hear strange noises behind the door and force their way in to find Hoi lying down and almost naked, and Zheng Dong was about to smear medicine on him, but they think that the two of them are together. After that, they sit down to eat, and it turns out that the four of them brought soup for Hoi, but Lin beats them because she brought special soup for the sick, so they fight. So he ate the soup and gave the rest to his friend and his little neighbors without the four of them noticing. Zhendong helps Hoi get dressed and asks why he won't accept Suili if he has loved her since they were children, and he tells her that he doesn't want to be a replacement. When his friend leaves, Mai Tada enters crying because a couple broke up because of her, but she is heard by Suili, who forces her way into the room but only sees Hoi. Then the other three enter too, and for some strange reason, Mai Tada is seen and she panics and tries to stop time, but it doesn't work. She just changes their clothes several times. Her magic is out of control. Luckily, then she regains control and erases their memory. Hoi says that it is because she eats a lot of junk food, but Mai Tada thinks that it is because he has not fulfilled the dream of other girls. Suddenly, an idol singer named Sandy appears on the television, and she says the name of our protagonist, and out of nowhere, he and Mai Tada are transported to a dream world, and she tells him that he is her angel, the co-owner of her dream world. Sandy is entranced by the magic of the chocolates and takes him to the campus terrace, welcoming him into her world. Sandy takes Hoi through her fantasy world. There are many fantastic animals and beautiful landscapes, but she wants to take him to another dimension, but he rejects her, and suddenly her dream world begins to fall apart. So he tells her that tomorrow they will go to her fancy world. That cheers her up and stops the breaking of the world. Back in the real world, Mai Tada tells him that Sandy's body is in the hospital in a coma, and if her spirit goes to the other dimension, her body will die. Hoi says that he won't abandon Sandy, but first, they need to find out more about her because there is something they don't know about Sandy, and that's why she wants to leave the real world. At Hoi's house, he gets out of the shower and finds Sandy's spirit in his bed, and she gives him one of her records and tells him that he was her inspiration to compose it. Hoi says that only tomorrow is their meeting, so she leaves saying that when she goes to Fancy World, she can be free and compose more songs and have more listeners. Mai Tada is desperate because Sandy can't wait to leave this world, and Hoi calms her down. He has a plan, but it might break the rules of the world of the gods of love. After that, Sandy and Hoi meet at the gates to the Fancy World. He tries to convince her that the world she wants to go to will also have an ugly side. She doesn't want to listen to him and says that he is not the Hoi she knows. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sandy's body is restless, and the doctors say that only she can bring herself out of the coma. Back in the dream world, Sandy gets mad at Hoi and goes through the gates to the fancy world, and our protagonist follows her. The fancy world is not what Sandy expected. It is dark and full of sadness. Hoi realizes that they can control it, so he tells Sandy about him and his three girls. He shows her how he was able to help them thanks to the power of the gods of love, and he asks her not to lose hope in her heart and to trust him. She hears this and says that she wants to meet the gods of love and decides to go back. Then she tells him what brought her to this state. It turns out that Sandy's agency used her as a puppet and took away her freedom, so Hoi, with the help of the girls, move influences and make the news of this abuse of power against Sandy go viral on Weibo. Soon this also hits the news on TV, and Sandy's fans protest against the agency. Now it is Hoi's turn to act. He goes in search of Sandy's true friend since Hoi took that friend's place in her memories. Sandy's friend is Ulf Ji. He first denies to Hoi his friendship with Sandy, but when he tells him that Sandy wants to die, Ulf Ji cries and tells him their story. When they were kids, Sandy had no friends because her mind was too fanciful, so Ulf Ji befriended her to protect her. While she was growing up, he encouraged her to follow her dreams in singing competitions, but when she became famous, he became her tutor. The bad thing is that people considered Sandy a weirdo, so since he was her only friend, they started isolating him too by calling him Freak. He got tired of that situation, but he couldn't talk about it with Sandy because his mother accepted money from an agency so that he could convince Sandy to sign a contract with them. And he did. For 10 years, he faked a happy life with Sandy, keeping her isolated from the real world and creating fantasy worlds for her, taking care of her as if she were a child, and meanwhile, the agency didn't let her compose her own songs or interact with the real world. But one day, Hao Yi got tired of this fake life and gave it up, and Sandy listened to everything. Hao Yi recorded Hao Yi's entire confession and went to confront the CEO of Sandy's agency. The CEO is not willing to give Sandy her freedom, but Hao Yi has an ace up his sleeve. He shows him photos of him and his mistress. Meanwhile, at Xia's mansion, she's worried because her grandfather's birthday is coming up, and suddenly she sees on the news that Sandy has woken up from her coma and wants to see Hao Yi. Days later, the reporters remain at the hospital gate, so Hao Yi has to sneak in and disguise himself to visit Sandy. Finally, he meets Sandy and he introduces her to Mai Tada. She takes Sandy to see many tourist places and they take many photos. Then she tells her about the magic of the chocolates. It turns out that Sandy had gone to campus to shoot a music video and ate Cupid's chocolates, and that's why her memories of Hao Yi were changed and given to Hao Yi. Mai Tada also tells her the story of the chocolate cake. In ancient times, the gods of love used bows and arrows to help couples. After that, they listened to prayers, and finally the director of the factory invented a chocolate cake that created memories of love and united couples. Many Cupids joined him, and that is how we got to this point. Later, Mai Tada tells Sandy that Hao Yi wants to be her friend and she shouldn't give up on life, but Sandy is worried because she doesn't know if her fans would want to hear her true self, let alone her original songs, but Mai Tada assures her that they all want to hear the real Sandy and hug her. A few days later, Sandy announces that she is going to study abroad as she agreed with her agency, but before leaving she will do a concert, so she sent tickets to our protagonist and Mai Tada, who watch her on TV. On the day of the concert, Sandy is practicing her new song in her dressing room when Hao Yi brings a bouquet of roses, as he used to do in the past. He apologizes to her for everything, but she tells him that she wants them to be real friends, no money or interest involved, just them, and he accepts. Sandy goes on stage and sings a beautiful song that she wrote herself. It's called Cupid's Chocolate. The stadium is ecstatic with the show. Then she goes to Hao Yi, takes his hand and thanks him in the ear. Days later, the gossip news says that he is Sandy's boyfriend. Shuili is furious. Because of this, Hao Yi has to hide from the reporters in Shuili. Luckily for him, Miss Ji was passing by and took him hidden in her suitcase to a cafeteria. He falls asleep in one of the armchairs in the cafeteria, and when he wakes up, a peculiarly dressed man is sitting next to him. He invites our protagonist to coffee, and at that moment, he receives a call from Xia, who is worried about him. The man thinks it's his girlfriend, but Hao Yi denies it, so he asks our protagonist if he believes in magic. But Hao Yi pretends and says he doesn't, that the gentleman gives him a box of candy and disappears when Hao Yi went to meet Xia. Meanwhile, Mai Tada is angry with Hao Yi because she had prepared a bag with clothes for him, but he sought help from another woman. At that moment, the same gentleman who was with Hao Yi appears in front of Mai Tada. He is Director Rius. He tells her that he knows what is happening with Hao Yi and that she violated one of the Cupid's rules, which is not to show herself to mortals. She cries and apologizes, but he says he doesn't care because she's under Cupid's palace's management. So to help her, he casts a spell on her so that her magic doesn't get out of control. She has to stop intervening in the problems of humans if she wants to keep her position, since there is someone waiting for her. At Xueli's house, she plans to kidnap Hao Yi to live with him, but her mother knocks her out to take her to the United States. She won't let her daughter marry that bastard's son. Luckily for Hao Yi, Sandy clarifies on television that he is not her boyfriend, but just a fan. While Hao Yi and Xia are at the cafeteria, he receives a call, so he asks Xia to go with him to buy pajamas for his cousin. They go shopping and she tries on different types of pajamas, driving Hao Yi crazy. After that, they have a good time and Xia is very happy because she thinks it's a date. Suddenly, one of the girls who sabotaged Tang's costume corners them. This time she came with rude boys to take revenge, since in the past, Xueli attacked them and she thinks that Hao Yi sent her after them. But Hao Yi is very good at fighting and he beats all those guys who even had sticks. Xia, very scared, calls the police and who came as Hao Yi's friend. He says that Hao Yi is good at fighting because his father is the chief of police. But Hao Yi leaves thinking that the policemen are the worst. After that, Hao Yi treats Xia coldly, so she timidly insists on asking him what's wrong. And he says that when he was a child, he wanted to be a policeman like his dad. But as he got older, his parents stopped caring about him. He even spent his birthday alone. One day, some thieves broke into his house when he was still a child. He called the police, but his father did not go to rescue him. He just sent a random policeman. Because of that, they had to constantly move to prevent it from happening again. Sometime later, he met Miss Ji. She was his neighbor, and she took care of him like an older sister. Miss Lai told Hao Yi's parents that he should learn self-defense, and they agreed, but it was his father's friend, Uncle Wan, who taught him. To the outside, he pretends that he has parents who care about him, but it's not true. After hearing his sad story, Xia understands why he is so empathetic to their problems, since he doesn't want them to suffer like him. Then Xia hugs him crying and says that it is not fair that he cares about the pain of others and nobody cares about the pain that he suffers. She says that she will help him fulfill his childhood wish to become a policeman. He is moved by Xia's tears and hugs her tightly. All this was seen by Mai Tada, who cries without knowing why. Apparently, she has feelings for Hao Yi. Suddenly, a guy named Kral appears out of nowhere. He is in love with Mai Tada and comes to take her away from the mortal world. But she doesn't want to and lies to him that she still has to find the girl who brought Cupid's chocolate cake to the roof of the campus. Mai Tada remembers that when she met Kral, he fell in love with her at first sight and even tried to make her eat Cupid's chocolates. Then she gets melancholic and wonders if our protagonist needs her. That night, it's raining hard and Hao Yi receives a call from Xia. She tells him that Tang needs them urgently. 2 hours earlier, Xia went with Tang to another anime expo where Tang is participating in a cosplay contest, and this time she has friends accompanying her. But when she puts on her queen dress, she realizes that she forgot the crown in the lockers on campus. So her friends will buy time for Tang while she goes to the university to look for the crown. Xia sees that Tang still has the maid costume that she and Hao Yi bought for her in the past, so she calls Hao Yi to go look for the crown at the university, because Tang can't because of the rain. Hao Yi gets the crown and meets Mai Tada, who hugs him crying because she thinks he and Xia are dating, but he tells her that they are not, so she is happy, and they continue the mission to help Tang. He runs to the bus stop where Tang took shelter from the rain, so he carries her on his back so the mud doesn't ruin her dress. Fortunately for them, the sun rises. Meanwhile, at the Anime Expo, Xia is stalling for time dressed as a maid and acting. She's Queen Tang's servant, and thank God, Tang arrives on time and makes a spectacular entrance. At the end of the event, Tang gave the maid costume to Xia since it suits her better, and Hao Yi doesn't stop praising Xia's performance, so Tang leaves them alone since she feels that she is the third wheel. When he gets home, Hao Yi thinks he can rest, but he can't. Hundreds of packages that Mai Tada ordered have arrived. The school camp is coming up. Hao Yi is packing up all the junk food that Mai Tada bought for him when Xia comes over and gives him a marked piece of paper to write his name on. It's for the camp draw. After that, Xia runs to Tang and gives her the paper. The two of them plan to be in the same group camp with Hao Yi, but Lin overhears them and marks her paper as well. Later in the draw, Tang gets confused when she sees two marked papers and takes out both. So in her group, there will be Hao Yi, Xia, and Lin. 4 in total. The 4 of them are walking through the forest, and Hao Yi, like the good gentleman that he is, carries the luggage of the 3 girls. But he gets tired quickly because Xia's luggage is too big and heavy. Lin makes sly comments saying that Xia should carry her own. Xia apologizes to him, and this angers Tang, and she decides to carry Xia's luggage. But our protagonist doesn't know how to shut his mouth and tells her that the violent image he had of her has already changed, so she gets angry and lets him carry all the luggage again. Later, Xia and Lin fight for Hao Yi's attention with different dishes, but a call interrupts them. It's Xu. She arrives in a helicopter and descends with many gifts for Hao Yi. She starts to scold him for spending time with other girls, but he calms her down by inviting her to eat with them. But the other girls refuse. This angers Xu more, and with her sword, she begins to fight with Tang. But some fathoms fall on the tents and begin to burn. Xia runs to the waterfall to get water, but loses her balance and is about to fall. So Tang runs to help her, although the crazy Xu kept chasing her with her sword. Hao Yi sees that the two are in danger and goes to rescue them, but is stopped by Xu, and the 2 girls fall down the waterfall. Our protagonist gets angry and breaks free from Xueli's grip, saying that this is not a joke, it is a human life. So he goes looking for Tang and Xia. Xueli tries to chase him, but is stopped by Lin, who slaps her across the face. She really did deserve it. Xueli wants to slap Lin back, but she easily stops her and tells her that if Tang and Xia, Hao Yi will never forgive her. Xueli finally realizes what she did, but only because she doesn't want Hao Yi to hate her. Lin shows her a map and says that the current carried them down the river and they should look for them where the water is shallow. Meanwhile, Hao Yi runs down following the river. He screams for Mai Tada's help, but she tried to save them before but ran out of magic due to exhaustion. Finally, he sees them and jumps into the river to save them, but the current is very strong and takes them away, so he grabs onto a rock and they both hold on to his legs, but his pants come off and the river takes them away. Night falls and Xueli and Lin are looking for them. Lin wants to stop to rest, but Xueli says that she will continue alone and leaves. But she doesn't get very far without a flashlight and the map, so she stays with Lin, and she offers her a piece of bread as a sign of peace. Lin advises her to change her ways or Hao Yi will walk away from her. It's not too late yet. They finish eating and continue their search. Meanwhile, Hao Yi wakes up from a nightmare and remembers that he managed to save the girls when the river took them to calmer waters. They make a fire to dry their clothes and themselves. Tang is furious with Xueli, but Hao Yi defends her and says that she was not like this before and that her essence is not really bad. After that, Lin and Xueli finally find them safe and sound. Xueli runs to hug Hao Yi and Xia about jealous. Meanwhile, Mai Tada looks at them sad because she was not helpful. Later, the 5 of them slept together, but Xia felt uncomfortable seeing how Hao Yi and Xueli treat each other. The next day, the fights between the girls continue because Xueli wanted to kiss Hao Yi, while Lin tries to locate herself on the map to return to the camp. Suddenly, she faints from exhaustion and everyone worries about her. And at that moment, Xueli's mother appears ready to knock her out as always to take her away. But this time, Xueli agrees to leave without protesting on the condition that they also take Lin away. She needs to go to a hospital. Her mother agrees and calls the teachers to come with cars to pick up Hao Yi, Tang, and Xia. Days later, Hao Yi is cleaning his house because Xia is coming to visit him. Someone knocks on the door and he thinks it's her. But it's his friend Zhang Dong. He came to tell him that Xueli's ex-boyfriend, Du Yu's, came back to town. Zhang Dong scolds him because he won't let Xueli go so he can win her over and protect her from that guy. But Hao Yi is undecided, and that makes Zhang Dong even more angry, who tells him that he is also hurting Xia since she's in love with him. All of this is heard by Xia, who saw the door open and entered without them seeing her. Zhang Dong leaves them alone, so Xia asks Hao Yi what's going on between the three of them. Hao Yi tells her that he and Xia have been friends since they were kids and they knew Zhang Dong in middle school. Zhang Dong had feelings for Xueli, but even so, the three of them were always together until one day, Xueli got a boyfriend. Everyone at school talked about Xueli and her boyfriends, since they were always together and hugging. After that, Hao Yi and Zhang Dong were chatting and the couple approached them, and Xueli introduced her boyfriend to Zhang Dong only, and she pretended that she didn't know Hao Yi. But on the day of the New Year's party, Du Yu introduces his fiancée Momo to the whole school, and he said that Xueli was a girl who always stuck to him, and he only put up with her for being a good guy. The humiliation was so massive that everyone was making fun of Xueli at school, and no one wanted to get close to the girl who was hitting on guys to pretend to be his girlfriend. As the teasing and gossip continued, Xueli left school and a worried Hao Yi went to see her. She was very depressed and a little crazy too, so out of nowhere she passionately kissed him and asked him to never leave her. After that, Xueli became the crazy girl obsessed with him that she is now, and her mother took her to the United States. Back in the present, she asks Hao Yi if he still likes Xueli, but he tells her not to worry. When he takes care of the Du Yu's issue, he will tell her about his relationship with Xia. But Xia still thinks that Hao Yi has feelings for Xueli. The next day, Hao Yi goes to visit Lin at the hospital with a huge basket of fruits from Xueli. She wanted to go, but her mother won't let her out. Days later, Xueli returns to the university, and the first thing she does is run to hug Hao Yi, but he tells her to always carry her cell phone with her and tell him where she is regularly. Later, when leaving campus, Du Yu is waiting for her with a bouquet of roses. She gets scared and runs away, but he chases her and corners her in a blind alley and tells her that his family's company in Japan has financial problems and wants her mother's company to support them. She whispers yes, and he leaves her in a panic attack on the floor. After that, she hides in her room. Her mother doesn't understand what's going on, and Xueli doesn't explain the situation well either because she says that someone is following her but nothing else. So she takes courage and calls Du Yu to tell him that she doesn't owe him anything and won't help him, but he says that if she doesn't go to see him, he will hurt Hao Yi. Meanwhile, he sends a message to Hao Yi to meet at an underground parking lot, and Hao Yi goes to see him. But there, his cell phone has no connection and Xueli tries to call him and she can't, so she thinks the worst and leaves her house. But as soon as she leaves, fortunately, she is seen by Maitada. Meanwhile, Hao Yi can't stop thinking about the meeting he had with Du Yu. Everything seems suspicious to him. Suddenly, Maitada comes flying and tells him that Xueli was in an abandoned factory. Xueli is tied up and Du Yu tells her that he needs the help of her mother's company to get back on the market. She refuses and says that Hao Yi will come to rescue her with the police. Du Yu says that even if the police come, they won't do anything to him because they were dating before, and he asks his henchmen to strip Xueli to record her and get her mother to sign an agreement with them. Outside the abandoned factory, Hao Yi and Maitada analyze the situation. He says that he already called the police, but they will take a while to come, and they need evidence that Du Yu hit someone or else he will go free and continue tormenting Xueli. So he asks Maitada to become invisible and gives her the cell phone to record everything that happens. Then Hao Yi enters through a window to rescue Xueli and sees that she is beaten, so he gets angry and wants to hit Du Yu, but he threatens to hit Xueli, so his henchmen hit Hao Yi. He lets himself be beaten by those guys so that Maitada records it, and she does it crying and without interfering, but when the criminals become more violent and want to hit him with a chair, Xueli gets in the way and is beaten. At that time, Xueli remembers her childhood. Her mother told her that if she wants Hao Yi to like her, she should get better grades than him, so she studied hard and closed the door in Hao Yi's face when he wanted to play with her. And so she continued to pass him in all the exams, but she also got away from him, and Hao Yi, who used to be lonely because his parents were never home, also got away from her. In high school, she wanted to keep getting better grades than him, but Hao Yi told her that it wasn't necessary because she was in advanced classes and he wasn't. Back in the present, Xueli tells her ex-boyfriend that she's not going to help him because she never liked him. He was just a replacement for Hao Yi. Xueli confesses her love to Hao Yi and tells him that she will give him all the love he lacked. Hoi feels bad for being so passive in the past and apologizes to her. If it weren't for him, she wouldn't be suffering under these circumstances, and he hugs her crying, all this in front of the kidnappers who can't believe their eyes. Then Maitada finishes recording and uploads the video to social networks and sends it to all cell phones. When the police arrive at the abandoned factory, Hoi and Shuili have already dealt with Duyu's and his henchmen. When the police were taking Duyu's away, he managed to escape and attack Hoi with a knife, but Shuili was faster and protected him with her body, resulting in serious injury. Before passing out, Shuili once again confesses her love to Hoi, who can't believe what is happening and calls out for an ambulance. Later at the hospital, Hoi blames himself for everything and Sia tries to comfort him, but he treats her badly. Then Shuili's mother arrives and begins to hit him and blame him for everything that happens to her daughter, and he lets her hit him because he agrees with her. After that, Shuili's father arrives and stops his wife and defends Hoi because their daughter told them that someone was following her, and they didn't pay attention to her fears. Later, Xia tells Hoi that Shuili has woken up and he runs to see her in her room. But Shuili doesn't remember him, and Hoi tells her their childhood story and that from now on he will always protect her. So Shuili is very happy and hugs him, saying that she will make him remember those words. At that moment, Tang, Xia, and Lin enter Xueli's room and are outraged. Tang can't believe that Xueli would go as far as faking memory loss to get Hoi to be with her. Lin thinks that the promise is worthless, and Xia is scared because she did believe Xueli. Suddenly, a white-haired girl appears and tells Hoi that he has created a big harem. She is Tuzi, Hoi's cousin. She hugs him and pretends that it is something else from him, and the four girls get jealous. Hoi calms them down, but Tuzi continues to provoke them, so he takes her away before everything gets out of control. At Hoi's house, Tuzi tries to look sexy to make Hoi like her, but he just scolds her then, and she asks him to tell her a bedtime story or she will sleep with him. So he tells her the story of Cupid's chocolates. The next day, Sandy knocks on Hoi's door and he rushes her in before the paparazzi see him. Sandy is there because she found out about everything that happened and wanted to make sure he's okay. When Tuzi sees her, she's very surprised because she's her fan, so she asks her for autographs and photos to remember the moment. Outside, the paparazzi are still waiting to take their photos, so Tuzi has the idea to dress Hoi as a woman, and then the two of them go out with Sandy, and the photographers lose interest when they see that Sandy went to visit female friends. The next day, Hoi is very tired and is watched by the three girls. Then Tuzi appears and lies to them that he is tired because they loved each other all night. Tang is disgusted and goes in to slap Hoi and says in front of the whole class that he is a pervert who plays with his little sister. Hoi takes Tang away to explain to her, but she and the other two continue to mistrust him. Tuzi said that she would defend him from those women, so Hoi, fed up, left and told them that what he does with his cousin is none of their business. Tang is angry, Xia is sad, and Lin says that there is something Hoi is not telling them. Later, Xia summons Tuzi on the roof to talk to her. Maitada sees them and thinks that Tuzi will hurt the pink-haired girl, so she quickly flies to tell Hoi. But Hoi thinks that the best thing is that the three of them think the worst of him, so they leave him alone and reassures Maitada because Tuzi is a good girl. She will not hurt Xia. On the roof, Xia asks Tuzi about Hoi's past. Tuzi tells her that she is Hoi's first girlfriend and that the boy she loves is not as kind-hearted as she thinks. After that, Xia meets with Tang and Lin and tells them what she talked about with Tuzi. They can't believe that he is a minor pervert. So they go to talk to Zhang Dong, and he confirms that Hoi had a relationship with his cousin. He advises them to talk to him if they want to know the whole truth. Then Tuzi shows up, and this time she tells them the whole truth. In the past, when some thieves tried to kill Hoi when he was a child, the criminals said that it was for revenge towards his father, but Hoi's father didn't even care and sent another policeman to rescue him when it was all over. Hoi threw away his toy badge and started to hate the policeman. Tuzi wanted to cheer him up, but nothing worked. So she said that she would agree to be his girlfriend since Hoi had asked her that morning because he felt very lonely. Later, she tried to get Zhang Dong to be friends with Hoi, but he thought he was a very boring kid. Even so, later she got the two of them to become friends. Then Hoi tells Zhang Dong that Tuzi is not his real girlfriend, but that she was his girlfriend in a play because he didn't have a partner. After that, she went to study in the United States, but this time Hoi had a friend. Back in the present, Tuzi tells the girls that she was lying to them because she wanted to test their personalities because she doesn't want her cousin to get hurt. And actually, she's happy that Hoi has more friends. After that, Hoi was at home and received an urgent visit from Xia. She's in a hurry. Tuzi is leaving the country again. She had only come to see him for a short period of time to verify that he is all right, and seeing that he is time to go. After all, she takes great care of him despite being younger than him. Tuzi boards the plane and is about to take off. Then Hoi tells Xia's driver to go through a forbidden path to reach the takeoff runway, while Xueli in her car stops everyone who gets in Hoi's way. And with the final help of Maitada, Tuzi listens to Hoi's farewell. He thanked her for always taking care of him and asks her to take care of herself too. Sunset falls and the five of them are together. Hao Yi thinks happily that now he is no longer alone, but Xueli catches him off guard and kisses him, injuring the other three girls. This makes Mai Tata laugh and says that Hao Yi hasn't dealt with all the Cupid's chocolates. Their journey is still to be continued.